Reports say Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told ministers he will seek to fully occupy the Gaza Strip.
The Netherlands announced it would purchase U.S. military equipment to send to Ukraine, making it the first NATO country to do so.
Brazil's Supreme Court has issued a house arrest order for former President Jair Bolsonaro for violating precautionary measures on political messaging.
Reports say Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has told ministers he will seek to fully occupy the Gaza Strip. It's a notable shift in tone from the Israeli government, which has so far maintained that its main goals were to defeat Hamas and free the hostages held in Gaza, not full occupation of the Strip. Last month, Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar told Euronews that his country had no intention of occupying Gaza long term. It comes as many Western countries, including France, the UK, and Canada, have moved to recognize a Palestinian state. Israel has recently faced increased scrutiny from its allies over its conduct in Gaza, amid a worsening humanitarian crisis that has left the population on the brink of starvation. Netanyahu rejects Palestinian statehood and has vowed to maintain open-ended control over occupied Palestinian territories, including Gaza and the West Bank.
The Netherlands announced it would contribute €500 million to purchase U.S. military equipment to send to Ukraine, making it the first NATO country to use the alliance's new initiative. Last month, U.S. President Donald Trump said that the U.S. would continue to supply weapons to Kyiv, but that these would be funded by European allies as well as Canada. NATO boss Mark Rutte thanked allies for ensuring that Ukraine remains equipped to continue to defend itself against Russia. He now hopes that other NATO allies will soon follow suit as well. U.S. Ambassador to NATO Matt Whitaker also welcomed the Dutch announcement. He said that by buying the weapons, allies are helping Ukraine defend itself and are pressuring Russia, while simultaneously boosting jobs in the U.S. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed his gratitude for Amsterdam leading the way in this new effort. Portugal entered the second day of a state of alert due to high temperatures. In São Martinho de Anta, in the district of Vila Real, dozens of nursing home residents were evacuated due to the fire threat.
Tiramos todos os utentes do lar por uma questão de precaução, por causa do fumo e das faúlhas.
The greatest concentration of resources were used in Vila Real, with over 300 firefighters and 121 land resources. At the beginning of Sunday evening, its mayor said that the firefighters were exhausted.
Foi minutos.
Ao pé de sua casa.
Mesmo por cima, mesmo ao meu lado, a tua casa, as lâmpadas passaram por cima.
A minha casa está lá em cima. E eu ainda não sei como é que ela está, porque tive que fugir.
Quem é que lhe disse para fugir?
Eu, porque vi as chamas muito próximas.
Eu vi um inferno ali, naqueles prédios. Aquilo foi em segundos. Aquilo parecia que levava tudo à nossa frente. Não havia nada, se não fossem os bombeiros ajudar-me e a gente, ficávamos sem nada.
Local authorities said the wildfires burned several farms, as well as surrounding scrubland, pine trees and eucalyptus.
Deixar que o fogo acalme, que isto passe, para depois retomarem cada um às suas casas e assim não ficarem animais para trás, nem acorrentados, nem esquecidos. Já retiramos coelhos, já retiramos galinhas, já retiramos gatos e já retiramos cães.
The state of alert in Portugal will last until Thursday, with high temperatures, particularly in the north of the country.
Romania's government said on Monday that it will use an EU support package to help people affected by flash floods that left at least 3 people dead in the country's northeast. The aid consists of amounts between €3,000 and €5,000 per case, which will be granted after damage assessments have been carried out. Bucharest will also activate the EU Solidarity Fund, through which Romania can access hundreds of millions of euros for the reconstruction of the areas. But this money will only arrive in a few months, according to the Romanian Prime Minister. In Suceava alone, approximately €78 million is needed for the reconstruction of the city of Brosteni and other affected localities. At least 3 people were killed when torrential rainstorms hit Romania in late July. Hundreds were forced to leave their homes as rescue services deployed in Nemt and Suceava. Some 680 homes were affected by the flash floods, which destroyed 41 houses, according to local media reports.
Brazil's Supreme Court has placed former President Jair Bolsonaro under house arrest for violating precautionary measures on political messaging. The measures barred Bolsonaro from producing and sharing content, including via social media, which the court says he violated. The top Brazilian court says the 70-year-old ex-president breached the order when he spoke to supporters via his lawmaker's sons at a protest on Sunday. In a now-deleted video posted on his son Senator Flavio Bolsonaro's social media pages, the former president addressed supporters in Copacabana where a protest in his defense was taking place. Bolsonaro's legal team said they plan to appeal the ruling, stating that saying "Good afternoon Copacabana, good afternoon my Brazil" does not constitute a violation. Justice Alexandre de Moraes, who presides over Bolsonaro's case, says it was such an obvious violation that the post was removed to hide legal transgression. Bolsonaro has been on trial since 2022 and is being investigated for allegedly masterminding a coup plot following his narrow defeat to President Lula da Silva in the general elections. His case has been in the spotlight after U.S. President Donald Trump came out as a vocal supporter of his, demanding an end to what he called a witch hunt case. The U.S. has taken measures against Brazil in support of Bolsonaro, with the State Department announcing sanctions on Justice de Moraes over misuse of power and human rights abuse. More recently, Trump tied his new 50% tariff rate on Brazilian exports to Washington directly to Bolsonaro's judicial situation. The new ruling comes just a month after Bolsonaro was ordered to wear an ankle monitor and submit to a curfew and communications ban. "68 African migrants were killed after a boat traveling across the Gulf of Aden capsized on Sunday. Over 70 others are missing, according to the head of the UN's Yemeni mission of the International Organization for Migration. The vessel, which was carrying 154 Ethiopian migrants, sank off the coast of the southern Yemeni province of Abyei. Only 12 migrants aboard the ship survived the accident as search and rescue operations to locate survivors continue. The UN says the bodies of 54 of the migrants confirmed dead washed ashore in the Khanfar district. The migrants were hoping to cross the Gulf of Aden and make their way to wealthy Gulf Arab countries in search for a better life. The UN says migrants are often taken by smugglers aboard overcrowded vessels, making dangerous trips that have killed hundreds. In March, 2 people were killed and more than 185 others were missing after 4 boats capsized off the coasts of Yemen and Djibouti. The UN agency says more than 60,000 African migrants arrived in Yemen in 2024.
The UN Special Representative for Cyprus, Colin Stewart, held a final meeting with Cyprus President Nikos Christodoulidis before retiring from his position. Upon his departure, he expressed his disappointment over the attitude of both the Greek and Turkish Cypriot leaders in formal discussions on the Cyprus issue.
I think the fundamental requirement is the willingness to find some common ground. And that's a different thing than trying to win or trying to impose one's views. And, one of the things that I found disappointing was how little there is in common between the official points of view of the two sides. The people of Cyprus have a lot in common, and they have a lot of, they have no trouble. We see millions of people crossing the crossing points every year. But what is required is that willingness to find a solution that is mutually acceptable. In other words, something that we can all live with. And I see a lot of hesitation to make those compromises.
Director of the President's Press Office, Victor Papadopoulos, openly disagreed with Stewart's view.
Δεν μπορώ να πω ότι συμμεριζόμαστε τέτοιες εκτιμήσεις. Όλοι δεσμευόμαστε από τα ψηφίσματα του Οργανισμού Ηνωμένων Εθνών και οι εκπρόσωποι των Ηνωμένων Εθνών δεσμεύονται από τα ψηφίσματα του Οργανισμού Ηνωμένων Εθνών, του Συμβουλίου Ασφαλείας των Ηνωμένων Εθνών. Όμως νομίζω ότι όλοι γνωρίζουν, και αυτό συζήτησαν και ο πρόεδρος της Δημοκρατίας με τον κ. Στιούαρτ, ότι το κλειδί βρίσκεται στην Άγκυρα.
It is not yet known who will replace Colin Stewart in Cyprus. Residents of Australia's New South Wales were met with rare snow over the weekend, bringing power outages and road incidents. Heavy snow blanketed a large part of the state's north on Saturday, with the state emergency services responding to over 2,000 calls for assistance, local media reported.
It's probably the most I've ever seen up here in the last chasing snow up here the last 5 to 10 years, so it's pretty amazing.
As much as 40 centimeters of snow fell in northern parts of New South Wales, the most since the mid-1980s, according to Australia's Bureau of Meteorology.
A volcano in Russia's far east erupted for the first time in centuries overnight on Sunday, just days after a massive 8.8 magnitude earthquake struck off the nearby coast. The eruption sent smoke and ash plumes as high as 6 kilometers into the sky, officials where the volcano is located said. As the volcano erupted, a 7.7 magnitude earthquake prompted a tsunami warning for 3 nearby areas of Kamchatka, which was later lifted. Local officials monitoring the eruption said late Sunday that its activity was decreasing, but moderate explosive activity could continue. The 8.8 magnitude earthquake that struck off Russia's far east on Wednesday caused small tsunami waves in Japan and Alaska and prompted evacuations as far away as Hawaii, North and Central America, and some Pacific islands.